the operations of customs, and therein the 5th schedule under the East African Community Customs Management Act Section 115 that gives different exemptions for different items. And then it also gives out more explanation on who qualifies for those incentives. And in that same document, the East African Community Customs Management Act, we also have what we call duty remission. To give more explanation on what it means, it is that type of an import duty that is reduced. For example, if an item is maybe at 10% import duty as per the ESC Common External Tariff, so this incentive brings that 10% to zero, and this is only given to manufacturers who are gazetted and they are able to enjoy that duty remission facility. Basically, the rationale is to promote industrialization as well as import substitution, so that then the manufacturers in those different sectors, as we're going to break them down, they have an added advantage and they are able to import these raw materials to manufacture different items at a lower rate, and that helps them to be able to be competitive on the local market, and they have access to market their finished products easily. So the rationale basically is onto the raw materials, and it is to the advantage of the manufacturers. So to begin with, we have some new incentives or new remission facility, an incentive facility for this financial year. We have scaffolding pipes. Basically, this has also been incentivized for, and it is targeting manufacturers of these modular scaffolding. And like I've already explained, the rationale is to have these items produced in Uganda so that we have we contribute to the national development, and we use the products that are produced within our country. So that means any other person who is not a manufacturer and intends to bring in the finished scaffolds, it means they have to pay at a higher rate. So this remission, it targets those manufacturers of scaffoldings. Then to continue, we have also manufacturers of kitchenware, and this is also a new remission for this financial year. And some of the raw materials they use is melamine resin under subheading 390920, and they also importing this raw material at 0% to be able to help them, because it's one of the powders they use during the production of different kitchenware. And then we also have steel coils, flat rolled products under those different subheadings under chapter 72. And this is also a remission in the CET or the Common External Tariff book. We have them at 10%, but when they are imported by the manufacturers, they bring in those coils at 0%, specifically to manufacture stainless steel pipes. Let's continue. As we continue, then we also have paper under those different two subheadings, 481013, 481019, and these were also approved by the Council of Ministers to be able to incentivize the manufacturers of beer labels and those packaging materials for cigarettes, and they are bringing in these items at 0%. Basically, it is also to incentivize the packaging materials sector so that then they have a market, and they also contribute to industrialization as well as manufacturing. Then we also have different varnishes under those headings, and in the common external tariff book, the import duty is at 35%. But when these raw materials are brought in by manufacturers of metallic labels, they are bringing in those raw materials at 0%. Like I've already explained, all these incentives are there for purposes of promoting industrialization and also contributing to national development. Then we also have coolants. These are brought in by manufacturers of cold rolled coils. So they bring in these coils in sheets when they are hot rolled. So they go through the process of manufacturing, they do the heating, they do the molding, and then that coolant is one of the raw materials they use in the production of the cold rolled coils. Let's continue. Then we also have, this is also a new remission on assemblers of suitcases. And as we see, there are a number of different parts or accessories that they bring in during their assembling process. And some of those parts or accessories, we have the edging strips, we have zips, buttons, caster wheels. So all those, when they are brought in by manufacturers of or assemblers of suitcases, they are bringing them at different rates. In the CET book, where some of them are 25%, they are bringing them at 10%. And those that are in the CET at 10%, they are bringing them in at 0%. Then to continue, we have also manufacturers of mosquito nets. The raw materials which are brought in by these manufacturers are exempted from all taxes. They're exempted from import duty, VAT, infrastructure levy, basically all taxes. So all those raw materials brought in by those manufacturers of mosquito nets, they are already catered for under the 5th schedule of the East African Community Customs Management Act. And as well as we also have the inputs for use in the manufacture of medical diagnostic kits. And as long as they're imported by manufacturers of medical diagnostic kits, and they also have to have approval from the Director Medical Services, they are all those inputs or raw materials they use, they are all exempted from import duty. Sorry, they are exempted from all taxes in accordance with the 5th schedule of the East African Community Customs Management Act. Let's continue. Then we also have packaging materials and those raw materials which are used in the manufacture of medicaments. We've had so many requests coming in, especially now the industries that are into processing or manufacturing medical items. So they also enjoy this exemption on the packaging materials they bring in, as well as those raw materials they also bring in to manufacture medicaments. So that one is also catered for under the 5th schedule of the East African Community Customs Management Act, and they don't pay any tax at importation. We also have, to continue, we also have preparation of kind used as cores or coatings for welding electrodes. These ones, when they're also brought in by the manufacturers of welding electrodes, they also have a duty remission from 10% in accordance with the ESCCET to 0%. So import duty is also levied to 0% for manufacturers of welding electrodes. Then we also have different raw materials which are also used in the manufacture of chocolates. Some of them include vegetable fats, the oils, other coconut oil, refined barley, those molds, the preparations, different preparations, and then those fruit purees. So all those, when they are brought in by manufacturers of chocolates, they have different remissions in according to the CET. Those that are 35% by CET, they are reduced to 25%. And as well as those which are 10%, they are reduced to 0 for manufacturers of chocolates. And this is also applicable, or is also available for this financial year. As we continue, we also have, this is a continuation, sorry. This is now a new one, basically on aluminum foils. We have importers or manufacturers of aluminum foil packs. So they bring in this aluminum in form of sheets. So they are able to go through the process of cutting, molding them into different packaging materials. So they also have a remission on import duty from 10% to 0%, and is also available for grabs for this financial year. So we also have manufacturers of dusters, which are used in our educational institutions. So we also have those raw materials from 10% as per the CET, and they were remitted to 0%, targeting those manufacturers of school dusters for this financial year. Then as we continue, we also have manufacturers of specialized PPR pipes. We have some manufacturers in Namantve. Then we also have some in Ginger. Basically, they bring in these different fittings, the elbows, the adapters, the valves, then those couplings, and then the sockets. So, and then they use all those different accessories or parts to be able to manufacture those specialized PPR pipes. So this is also an incentive available for those who are manufacturing those items, pipes. As we continue, then we also have manufacturers of mosquito repellents. This is a regional remission, which means it is applicable to all the ESC partner states. All the ESC partner states enjoy this duty remission, and it was effected in the last financial year. So, and then it was also brought up again for this financial year for more implementation. So we have those raw materials or inputs, as mentioned, like pouches, like meshes, the films that they use when they are manufacturing those mosquito repellents. So import duty is also reduced to 0%. Then we also have preparations of a kind which are used in manufacturing beverages and food. This is also a regional remission and also a country-specific remission. So for the regional remission, it is applicable at 10%, but then for Uganda, being a country-specific remission, it is applicable at 0%, and this targets manufacturers of food and beverages. And then as we continue, we also have, now some of these are carried on remissions that have been on the previous financial year. And of course, some of the reason as to why they are carried on, because they feel as ESC, we are not yet at that level where we can be able to produce these things or these items in much quantities, and thereafter they bring in these remissions year in, year out, so that then we develop capacity. And maybe in the near future, when they feel that the capacity has been built, then you find that some of the duty remission facilities are removed, so that then now the industries can be able to take on and develop. So we also have organic surface active agents. These cut across because they also appear for manufacturers of industrial tube mills, coolants. They are also applicable in the textile industry, textile and garments industry, and as well as footwear. So it cuts across, and remission for these organic surface active agents, basically adhesives, they cut across, and the remission is from 25% to 10%. Then we also have clear primer, which is used by manufacturers of pre-painted coils and sheets, and their remission is from 10% to 0%. As well as we also have the top coat color primer, which is also paint basically for iron sheets, and it is also a remission from 35% to 0%, specifically targeting manufacturers of pre-painted coils as well as sheets for this financial year. As we continue, we also have different remission on manufacturers of school pencils. They bring in these ferrules, they bring in the erasers, and then they are able to assemble and be able to have one complete school pencil. So they also have a remission on those items they bring in, and they do the assembling from 10% to 0%, targeting school pencil manufacturers. Then we also have another remission on aluminium coils. Earlier on, we had seen melamine, which is also a raw material to manufacture kitchenware. So this is also another raw material, the aluminium, which is also brought in different sheets, and then they are able to do the cutting and then do the molding, and it is also targeting manufacturers of kitchenware this financial year. As we continue, we also have manufacturers of lubricants, and this is also a regional remission where the ESC partner states and the ESC Council of Ministers approved a remission on petroleum-based oil, which is basically used in the manufacturing of lubricants. And in the CET rate, it appears at 10%, but when it is brought in by manufacturers, it is brought in at 0%. Then we have a printing ink. This is also brought in by manufacturers of metal crown cups, who bring in these printing inks at 0%. In the CET book, it appears at 10%, but when it is imported by manufacturers of metal crown cups, it is at 0%. It's also available for this financial year. As we continue, we also have, in addition to the previous, we have preparations or different parts, different plates, the zinc oxide, basically these raw materials, the lubricants, they are targeting manufacturers of tires and tubes, and they use these raw materials within their production processes, where import duty is applicable from 10% to 0%, targeting tire manufacturers. We continue. Then we also have manufacturers of paint, brushes, those construction sandpapers. So this is also a target industry that is also incentivized in terms of the raw materials they bring in. And some of these raw materials include those bristles for paint, different adhesives, the long piles. So all those are brought in at a remission rate, some of them which are 25%. Then at declaration or at importation, they are 10%. And those which are at 10%, they are remitted or they are reduced. Import duty is reduced to 0%, targeting manufacturers of paint brushes as well as construction sandpaper. We continue. Then we also have what we call stays of application. Maybe to elaborate what stays mean. Now, in the ESC partner states, basically it's more of like an incentive where a country within the ESC agrees to deviate from application of the CET rate, and then it prefers to apply a duty rate which is either higher or lower depending on the circumstances and maybe the target market. So in this case, we also have a stay of application, in this case an incentive, whose CET rate was reduced from 35% and 25% to apply a duty rate of 10 and also 0% respectively. And these are basically packaging materials which are used in the manufacturing of surgical or medical examination gloves. So this is also an incentive that is also available for those manufacturers. Then we have sugar for industrial use. This usually is imported by manufacturers of sweeteners, food, as well as confectionery, as well as beverages. And the duty remission or the import duty is applicable at a rate of 25% for those manufacturers or for those who are bringing in the sugar, the white refined sugar, basically for industrial use. Because the rate, the CET rate is 100%. So this is a remission from that 100% to 25%, targeting those manufacturers in those different sectors. Then as we continue, we also have paper, which is used in the manufacture of exercise books as well as textbooks. This is also a regional remission that is applicable to all ESC partner states, where we have a remission on paper from 10% to 0%, targeting manufacturers of exercise books as well as textbooks. And I must confirm that we have enough manufacturers who are doing exercise books. Most of them are in Jinja and some of them are in Namave, and they've been able to enjoy this remission because it has almost the whole paper of chapter 48 is covered, and they've been able to take on that incentive, and we must testify that they have really benefited and they've contributed to our country's development. Maybe my colleague or moderator Brian, we would like to probably have a little break so that then my other colleague can take on, and then we continue, we proceed. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Irene. That was a great insight to the incentives for this financial year. For those who have just joined the webinar, we are discussing incentives for manufacturers and constructors. And the idea is to make sure that we reduce the cost of doing business for investors, to enable them grow their business, create employment, transfer knowledge, pay more tax through income tax, and also grow our economy. So the first bit that Irene discussed was mainly on remission And of course, what we mean by duty remission are reduced import duty rates on raw materials for manufacturers. And the idea is to reduce their cost of doing business. So when we reduce their cost of doing business, then we're able to attract more investment and also grow the industrial sector. So we are going to move to Scarlett. Scarlett is going to take us through our second phase. And we are looking forward to what she's going to share with us. So Scarlett, please, you can carry on from here.
Okay. Like we said earlier, the government has come up with a number of incentives to boost industrialization in the country. And among these is duty remission and some of the exemptions that are in the 5th schedule of the East African Community Customs Management Act. Duty remission, briefly, is when the government decides to reduce import duty rates from what is in the CET, in the Common External Tariff, and provides manufacturers with a lower rate so that they can bring in their raw materials at a reduced rate, and their cost of production goes down. I'll start with the manufacturers of aluminium cans. Okay, I'll start with the manufacturers of aluminium cans.
Maybe we can move to the
Okay,
next
let's first move to the assemblers of motorcycles.
Okay.
Government saw it fit to reduce the import duty from 25 to 10% in order to promote the manufacturing and assembly of motorcycles in the country. There was also a duty remission from 25% to 10% for assemblers of bicycles. And this was basically because the government realized that we had so many companies that were assembling bicycles in the country. So in order to promote this, duty was remitted from 25%, which is the rate in the Common External Tariff, to 10%. For assemblers of transformers and switchgear, their materials, import duty on their materials was also remitted in order to boost industrialization. Government, we've all heard of Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy. So government is trying to promote and to boost the local market. So through providing such incentives, this attracts investment, and we're able to boost industrialization in the country. The next one we have the others we have are the manufacturers of sanitary towels and tampons. Duty was remitted to 0%. So for any persons involved or engaged in the manufacture of sanitary towels and tampons, you can enjoy this facility and bring in your raw materials at 0%. Then we have manufacturers of solar panels. Duty was also remitted to 0% for the inputs for the manufacture of these solar panels. We have assemblers of refrigerators and freezers. There was the duty remission. This has been existing. Like we said, there are some remissions that are new, and there are some that have been in place. So this is one of the ones that has been in place, and duty was remitted from 25% to 10% this financial year. For duty remission was also remitted, import duty was also remitted to 0% for manufacturers of food supplements. So in any of if you're bringing in your inputs, raw materials, and you're engaged in manufacturing of food supplements, import duty will be 0%. For manufacturers of lead batteries, there was a remission to 0% as well. So the government realized that we have some companies that are actually manufacturing these lead batteries. So in order to support our own, we decided to remit import duty to 0%. The next one, we have manufacturers of gas cylinders. We had a remission of import duty to 0% on inputs used in the production of gas cylinders. So for any persons that are engaged in the manufacture of these gas cylinders or are interested in manufacturing this gas cylinder, your import duty will be remitted to 0% as opposed to the rate in the common external tariff. Next. Inputs for the manufacture of dry cell batteries. These were also remitted to 0% in order to promote our domestic market. Domestic company, sorry. Duty remission to 0% for inputs used in the manufacture of matchboxes as well. We have quite a number of companies that are manufacturing matchboxes right now, so all their inputs are exempted. Import duty for their inputs is remitted to 0%. There's a difference between a remission and an exemption. That's why I didn't want to go there. Then we have the manufacture of deep cycle batteries are also remitted to 0%, as opposed to the rates that are in the common external tariff. For any persons engaged in manufacture of deep cycle batteries, you can be able to enjoy this facility. Manufacturers of automobile leaf springs, bolts, nuts can also enjoy import duty remitted to 0% for the manufacture of their items. Then we have trigger spray and lotion pumps. These are used by companies that manufacture cosmetics. Import duty on these has also been remitted to 0%. So in case one is engaged in the manufacture of cosmetics, they can enjoy this facility as well. Noodles for the manufacture of soap. Noodles are used by companies that manufacture toilet soap. So these have also been remitted to 10%. Umbrella heads for roofing nails. The umbrella heads in particular, the umbrella head is that umbrella on top of the nail. That one in particular, import duty for it has been remitted to 10% for manufacturers of roofing nails. The government saw it fit to reduce this import duty to 10% because we believe we have enough capacity here. Next. We have glucose syrup. Import duty was remitted to 0% for glucose syrup. And this is used, it's an input used in manufacturing
Glucose syrup.
Odoriferous mixtures of a kind used in raw materials and food and drink industries. These are the flavors that are usually used in industries. Government saw it fit to also remit import duty for these to 0% in order to boost industrialization and reduce the cost of doing business for these industries. The next item we have is remission of duty for manufacturers of toothbrushes. Import duty was remitted to 0% for all the inputs. So in case for persons engaged or interested in manufacturing toothbrushes, import duty is remitted to 0% for the inputs. For manufacturers of fishing nets, we have, they usually use nylon yarn when they're manufacturing these fishing nets. Import duty for this was remitted to 0%. So for anyone involved or engaged in this, you can be able to enjoy this facility, this incentive that was put in place by the government to promote industrialization. The next one we have is for manufacturers of agricultural equipment. Any agricultural equipment, as long as it's used for agricultural purposes, its inputs were remitted to 0%. We also have inputs that are used in the manufacture of pesticides, fungicides, insecticides, acaricides. As long as you have approval from the Ministry of Agriculture, import duty is also remitted to 0%. Next, we have for manufacturers of energy stoves. Government saw it fit to reduce import duty on the inputs for this to 0%, as opposed to the rates that are in the common external tariff. So if one is engaged in manufacturing energy stoves, you should be able to enjoy this facility. The next one we have is import duty remission to 0% for manufacturers of roofing tiles. Their inputs were also remitted to 0%. So anyone engaged in this should be able to enjoy this facility. Manufacturers of mattresses should be able to enjoy import duty of 10% on the importation of jacquard material. This is the material that is used to make spring mattresses. However, this should be with a logo. It should have a logo. We're trying to avoid having some of these items end up in the market, so that other people can be able to compete favorably in the market. We have import duty remission to 10% for weave fabrics of polyester staple fiber. These are inputs that are used for manufacturers of mattresses as well. So weave fabrics of polyester fiber, woven gray fabric of higher yarn counts for weight, all these will be remitted to 10%. Polycotton material is also used in the manufacture of mattresses, and this is also import duty on this is also remitted to 10%. The government is doing all this in order to boost the manufacturing sector. Like we said earlier, the government is trying to promote import substitution and export promotion. That's what we're trying to look at here. So we're trying to build Uganda, buy Uganda, build Uganda. That's why we put all these incentives in place. The next item is duty remission again of to 10% of catalytic preparations. These are for the manufacture of foam and spring mattresses. So anyone out there who is manufacturing mattresses, as you can see, there are quite a number of incentives that you can enjoy. Next. Steel under mattresses, the springs, the leads that are used in manufacturing these mattresses are also remitted. Import duty on them is also remitted to 10%, but specifically for manufacturers, not dealers, manufacturers. We have polyvinyl alcohol, import duty remission to 0% for polyvinyl alcohol as an input, as long as you're a manufacturer. Then we have a stay. Like we had said earlier, a stay of application is when the government decides to divert, the government of a partner state, since we are looking at the East African region, the government decides to divert from the rates in the the East African Community Common External Tariff, and decides to either increase or reduce the import duty rate in order to favor certain circumstances that are, maybe if a commodity is probably of high importance, the government can probably reduce the rate. When the government is trying to protect the local industry, it can increase the rates. So it depends on the circumstances. So we'll look at which grain. There's a stay of application of the ESCCET rate of 35%, and we're going to apply 10% for 1 year on the importation of wheat grain. We also have a stay on barley. We're applying 10% for 1 year, and we are staying the ESCCET rate of 25%. When we say we are staying the ESCCET rate of 25%, that's the rate that's in the CET, but we are going to apply 10% as opposed to the 25% as Uganda. Then we have the aerosol cans. These are those cans that are usually used by manufacturers of pesticides, acaricides. So these, for manufacturers of these, import duty is remitted to 0%. Then organic surface active agents, import duty is also remitted to 0%. Of late, we have so many manufacturers of detergents and liquid soap, so they can enjoy this facility as well with import duty remitted to 0. We have manufacturers of detergents and soap as well, organic surface agents, organic surface active agents. Import duty is also remitted on this to 0% in order to boost this industry. The other remission we have is for manufacturers of books. For manufacturers of books, we have textile garments coated with gum for direct use. There are those textile garments that are usually imported by people in this industry, that are engaged in the manufacture of books. They usually import these. So import duty on these has been remitted to 0% in order to boost this sector. Next, we have the duplex boards. Manufacturers of corrugated boxes usually use this as an input, and the government saw it fit to reduce and to remit import duty on these items, on these duplex boards, to 0%. Now, inputs for the assembly, we have ships. Inputs for the assembly of ships has also been remitted to 0%. So anyone that is interested in assembling ships here, please, you're welcome. Import duty has been remitted to 0%, so you can enjoy this facility. Next, for the disabled, the blind, and physically handicapped persons, in order to make these items at least affordable on the market, the government has first of all realized that these are items that we can actually assemble here. So in order to create jobs, to boost industrialization, to support our own, import duty has been remitted to 0% on the inputs for anyone engaged in the assembling of this equipment. We have filters. We have filters. We have some companies, I'm told there are some companies in Masaka that are actually making these filters. Import duty has been remitted to 0% in order to encourage industrialization and to encourage investment in the country. For manufacturers of food products, broths and meal of wheat, import duty has been remitted to 0% as well. Now we have companies that are engaged in assembly. We have quite a number of items where import duty has been remitted to either 0% or 10% in the assembly of these items. So I'll rush through them. We have speakers brought in CKD form, completely knocked down. Any inputs for the assembly of speakers have been remitted to 0%. Inputs for the assembly of hot water kettles have also been remitted to 0%. Inputs for the assembly of DVD players have also been remitted to 0%. Flat irons, inputs for the assembly of flat irons have also been remitted to 0%. So as long as you're engaged in the assembly of any of these items and you're bringing them in completely knocked down form, you should be able to enjoy duty remission of their inputs at 0%. We also have lenders, import duty remission to 0% as long as the inputs are being brought in CKD form. We also have the bulbs, LED and CFL bulbs. Import duty remission is also to 0%. Unassembled floor, table, and wall fans, as long as the fans are brought in and they are in an unassembled form. Here, import duty is not remitted to 0%, but it's remitted to 10% as opposed to the others. For cookers, unassembled cookers, 0% as well, import duty remission. The government is trying to boost industrialization and create jobs. So for bringing in for assembly, maybe in future, we can actually manufacture from here, but we can start with just bringing in unassembled, and we assemble first, then after we can manufacture. Next, please. So for those engaged in the manufacture of furniture, there are quite a number of inputs that are used in the manufacture of furniture, but we have a list So for that, we have a list in the Gazette. For those items, for those inputs that are listed in the Gazette, you should be able to enjoy duty remission to 0% for those items for the manufacture of furniture. Steel blanks, and steel blanks. These are blanks that are used in when you're manufacturing for the manufacture of spoons and forks. So anyone importing this should be able to enjoy duty remission at 10% for at least a year. We have the manufacturers of toughened and laminated glass. So the stranded wire, ropes, and cables for the manufacture of this is also remitted to 0%. For the manufacturers of toughened glass and toughened and laminated glass as well, we have another remission to 0% of the plates, sheets, film, foil, and strip, and quite a number of items. So duty remission on as long as one is importing, any persons involved in manufacture of this item should be able to enjoy duty remission to 0%. Again, for the manufacturers in the same, you should be able to enjoy duty remission to 0% of non-wired glass. For persons involved in the manufacture of decorative aluminum panels, government has put an incentive of duty remission to 0% on paints and varnishes, including enamels and lacquers. We have import duty remission for aluminum plates and sheets for those involved in the manufacture of decorative aluminum panels, and this is going to go on for 1 year. However, these aluminum plates, sheets, and strip should be of a thickness exceeding 0.2 millimeters. I'll put emphasis on that. Exceeding 0.2 millimeters of aluminum alloy. And one should be able to enjoy import duty remission to 10% as long as they engage in the manufacture of decorative aluminum panels. The other item we have are the baby diapers. So for manufacturers of baby diapers, import duty rate, the import duty has been reduced to 0% for listed. When we say listed, that means in the Gazette we have a list. Not all inputs will be remitted to 0%. We have a list of inputs in the Gazette, and those are the only ones that will be remitted to 0% for the manufacture of baby diapers. Mothers should be happy about this. Next. We also have import duty remission to 0% for acrylic polymers. The acrylic polymers are used by companies that are engaged in the manufacture of paint. So import duty on this has been remitted to 0% as well to boost the industry and the companies that are engaged in the manufacture of this paint. For textile, for those engaged in the manufacture of textiles, garments, we have a list of inputs that have been put in place. The government has been trying for a long time to boost this industry in particular. So in order to boost it, import duty has been remitted to 0% in order to promote our own. For those engaged in the manufacture of shoes, footwear, in the Gazette, we have a list of inputs, and import duty has been remitted to 0%. So for persons engaged in this, please look at our Gazette. You look at any item that is listed, you should be able to enjoy import duty remission to 0% on this item. We have manufacturers of edible salts. Raw salt has been import duty on raw salt has been remitted to 10%. The next item is for those engaged in the assembly of mobile phones. As long as one is importing inputs and they show interest in assembling mobile phones from here, you you should be able to enjoy import duty at a rate of 0%. We had so many funds that were coming in, and the government realized we can actually do this here. We can assemble the funds here that will create jobs in the end, and boost industrialization basically. So the import duty rate, when one is importing a fund, the import duty rate was increased, and now when one is manufacturing, the import duty rate on the inputs is actually reduced to 0%. Then we have import duty remission to 0% for chains, for those engaged in the assembly of chains for motorcycles, bicycles, and industrial machinery for 1 year. Valves and their corresponding components, component parts used for the manufacture of motorcycle tubes, we have a remission on these as well to 0%. This is usually used by manufacturers of motorcycle tubes, and this is going to run for 1 year. When we say it runs for 1 year, sometimes it can run for another year, but we usually put that every year. Okay, we can have the next one. We have brake linings and pads, brakes and servo brakes thereof, other adhesive glues. These are being remitted to 0%, and these are usually used by manufacturers of motorcycle inner tubes and brake shoes, and this is also running for a year. Manufacturers of electric cables, for 1 year, government saw it, realized that we can manufacture these cables here, these electric cables. So import duty on this, on the high tensile galvanized wire, was actually remitted to 10%. For manufacturers of cables steel, there was also another remission on the aluminium wire, which is not alloy, to 0%. So for persons engaged in this, you should be able to enjoy this remission. However, it should be the maximum cross section of the aluminium wire dimension should exceed 7 millimeters. Then we had talked about stays initially. We have a stay of application of the ESCCET rate of 10%, and we are applying 0% for 1 year on the importation of wires of alloyed steel. The other item are the other zinc coated coils. These are used by manufacturers of guardrails. We have an import duty remission of this to 0%. Then we have import duty remission to 0% on packaging materials as inputs for domestic processors. So those involved in the manufacturing of packaging materials for coffee, we have listed packaging materials and listed and plastic materials for coffee, and import duty is remitted to 0%. Gemstones. We have equipment. Government is trying to ensure that ensure value addition, and through ensuring value addition, we can be able to create jobs and also boost industrialization in the country. So doing this by ensuring that we have listed equipment. Some equipment in the Gazette has been remitted to 0%. This equipment for polishing and heating gemstones. So for persons interested in this, you can look at the list and be able to enjoy this facility. Manufacturers, companies engaged in the manufacture of food and drinks. Those interested in those that import active yeast, we have a remission to 10% to boost industrialization and to reduce on the cost of living, the cost of doing business for these industries, which in turn will make the prices of these items favorable as opposed to importing them. Then we have import duty remission of 0% on petroleum jelly. This is petroleum jelly is used as an input for manufacturers of cosmetic products. So if you're engaged in the manufacture of cosmetic products, please, you can be able to enjoy this facility. You can bring in your raw material of petroleum jelly at 0% import duty. We have polyethylene resins These are used in the manufacture of footwear as well. Persons engaged in the manufacture of this should be able to enjoy import duty remission to 0% on these resins. Okay, then we have uncoated bleached craft liner paperboard in rolls or sheets, glues, less on starch. Import duty remission to 10% from 35% for 1 year. Okay, the next item, please. We have duty remission from 10% to 0% as well on other plates, films, sheets of plastic, paper or paperboard labels, whether printed or not. Now, these items, these are materials used by quite a number of industries in the sector. So government decided to reduce the import duty from 10% to 0%. Manufacturers of packaging materials should be able to enjoy duty remission of 0% on unbleached craft paper in rolls or in sheets as well. They should also be able to enjoy import duty remission to 0% on paper and paperboard, as long as it's coated, impregnated, or covered with plastic. However, this excludes the adhesives. For the printing sector, we all know we have quite a huge printing sector is quite big. So government saw it fit to remit duty on plates, other plates, sheets, film, foil, and strip of plastic, as long as it's unprinted, to 0%. We have quite a number of companies in the country that are manufacturing food products. So importation of mechanically deboned chicken, this is that chicken paste that is used to make probably sausages, meatballs, and all that. We have a remission to 35%, as opposed to the rate that is in the common external tariff, which is definitely higher than that. We have an import duty remission to 0% of grease papers and other craft paper and craft paperboard for the manufacturers of packaging materials as well, and this is to 0%. Then the other incentive we have, I think remission is done. The other incentive we have is VAT deferment. This is an incentive, a facility that is usually given to manufacturers, where the government decided to defer VAT on their plant and machinery, as long as the cost insurance and freight is above 22,300 US dollars. So for one to be able to enjoy this, the VAT to be deferred should be above 4,000 US dollars. That means they'll bring in their plant and machinery, and VAT will not be payable. It will be deferred to be paid at a later date. The other incentive we have for manufacturers is the one on the replacement spare parts. For any persons engaged in manufacturing that is using any machines, as long as you need to get any of the parts, the worn out parts, the old parts replaced, should be able to bring these in without paying any taxes. And this is in accordance to the 5th schedule of the East African Community Customs Management Act. That is section 114. Yeah. Packaging materials, those engaged in packaging goods that are specifically for export. These packaging materials are brought in without paying any taxes. All taxes are exempt in accordance to the 5th schedule of the East African Community Customs Management Act 2004. However, these should be they should be labeled for export only, and then you should be able to get this incentive. The other item we have are the pallets and the pre-packing slings designed for packaging goods for export. These are also exempted from all taxes under the 5th schedule of the East African Community Customs Management Act. That's the ESCCMF. Okay.
Thank you so much, Scarlett.
Yeah.
That was a great insight. Scarlett has been able to dwell more on what we call stages of application and VAT deferment and 5th schedule exemptions. All these are tax incentives that are aimed to reduce the cost of doing business for the manufacturers and also prospective investors. And of course, one of the interesting tax policy tool is the store of application, whereby we have rates in the CET being reduced, especially for those raw materials that we want to come in and we want manufacturers to use to add value. But we also have a few experiences whereby the rate in the CET is increased so that we can be able to protect manufacturers of those finished products in our economy. So it is a tool of our tax policy that is interesting, that can be able to reduce and also increase your rates depending on the interests of our economy. So at this point, I would want to usher in Irene. Irene is going to talk about incentives for the construction sector. So Irene, please take it away.
Right. Question.
Come again? Questions? Okay, so I've been reminded we're going to move to questions. Let's wait for them on the screen. Okay, our questions have come. Dear presenters, greetings. Kindly also clarify on the CPC for using on clients who fall under determination and the process to get approval to use CPC for trade from the Trade Department. Okay, I think this person is asking about the CPC for deterrent emission and how to get the facility. So Irene, you can help us on this.
Thank you so much, viewers. This shows that some people are really attentive because there are certain things, at least they know about deterioration. Now, probably let's first explain about the whole process of attaining that facility, the deterioration facility. First of all, who qualifies? Now, a person who qualifies for deterioration, first of all, has to be a manufacturer, and this is somebody who is bringing in raw materials or inputs or parts to assemble or to manufacture different items, like as we have explained. So the process of acquiring duty remission, we have quite a number, but allow me to break them down. You, as long as you're a manufacturer and you have gone through this list that we have given, as long as the ESD partner states have approved those raw materials, so you write a letter to the Commissioner Customs requesting for duty remission on the raw materials that have been approved in that particular financial year. And some of the things that you need to mention in your request are you need to tell us what are those raw materials that you're bringing in. Number 2, you give us the item description for those raw materials. Then you also avail the HS codes or the harmonized system codes for those raw materials. You also avail us with the quantities. They can be in kilograms or in metric tons or in liters or in pieces, depending on your manufacturing sector. You're able to tell us how much of those quantities you intend to import for those raw materials in that particular financial year. And then another, you also inform us of the finished product. If, for example, your raw material is glucose, or maybe yeast or sugar, we probably you're looking at 150 metric tons of sugar that you're going to import in that particular financial year, and then you're telling us that that sugar falls under 17019910 as the harmonized system code. You're telling us the finished product, in this case, maybe you're engaged into confectionery. So something like that, you give us a background of what your raw materials are, the description, the quantities that you intend to import in that financial year, and as well as the finished product. So you apply through the Commissioner Customs, like I've already said. And for those manufacturers who are starting up fresh, like the business hasn't been in operation, we are obliged, as per the East African duty remission regulations, to come and visit your factory so that we are able also to understand your business manufacturing. And then when we find it fit and the raw materials that you're bringing in qualify for duty remission, then we do a report, and then we also write back to you explaining to you what qualifies and what doesn't. Now that brings me to the question of people who are bringing in industrial sugar. The CPC to use is 453, and these are administrative codes basically to help us facilitate, in that when a declarant is making an entry and they put in that CPC 453, it will automatically take away import duty on the sugar to 25%, instead of the other person who is not a manufacturer, and there it would bring 100%. So that is one of the examples. And maybe to give more clarity, then there are those items or raw materials where you find import duty is at 35, sorry, the CET rate is at 35%, but the remission is at 10%. So the customs procedure code in this case that is used is 452. And then those raw materials where you find the CET or the common external tariff has it at 10%, but the raw material was approved to 0%. So the customs procedure code to use in this case is 450. So all those CPCs are already configured in the system, in that the moment a declarant puts it in there, it will reflect the applicable taxes accordingly. Hopefully we've answered the question well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Irene. Do you have another question? Or that is all? Okay, we have another one. Do we have small manufacturers of books, like the guys at NASA Road? Do they also enjoy import duty on paper? Scarlett, you can help us on this. Do you have manufacturers of books?
Yeah, we have. Yes, as long as you are a manufacturer.
Yeah.
And we actually, you apply for this facility, and we come and visit, because usually we do an inspection of sorts. If we come and visit and we realize that you have the capacity to actually manufacture, yes, you can also enjoy the same incentives that are available. These incentives are not, they're not really tied to a certain level of investment, but they are for all manufacturers. You can be able to enjoy the same incentives that a big manufacturer is enjoying.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does answer the question. Irene, you want to add on that?
No, not really.
It has been exhaustive, eh? Okay, thank you so much. We have another question. Good morning, team. I have had a remission on the same inputs for manufacturers, provided they qualify to be manufacturers. Who qualifies to be a manufacturer?
Thank
Irene,
you so much,
you can help
Brian.
us there.
Now, who qualifies to be considered as or to be taken on as a manufacturer? Now, the East African Community Duty Remission Regulations, it gives an explanation of what a manufacturer is. Those who are, for example, bringing in, as long as you're adding value, there's value addition on those inputs. Those who are into assembling, in accordance to the regulations, it calls it manufacturing. Those who are into packaging, it is also considered as manufacturing. Those who regulations, it calls the product or the finished product, for example, is confectionery. So all those are considered manufacturers. So somebody might think, for example, somebody who is assembling blenders, that maybe this one wouldn't qualify for duty remission. But the rationale of having to include everything as far as assembling is concerned or manufacturing is concerned, they are looking at countries in the ESC who are still developing, and they may not be in position to have the actual, what I could call maybe the intense processing or the intense manufacturing, and therefore they incentivize to make sure that even when you have your parts, you can be able to assemble, and in that way you develop, it is a gradual process. So then as long as you're into assembling, you're manufacturing, the intense manufacturing, you're adding value, you're into packaging, all that is considered as manufacturing. Thank you so much, moderator.
Thanks so much, Irene. It was good hindsight. Dear Brian and team, thanks for the presentation. Kindly explain why zero-rated goods pay. I think the meaning infrastructure levy plus IDF instead of only IDF. Thanks from Joseph Aisu. Okay, this question is, I think, outside our discussion today, but we can throw more light on it. Any of you?
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Irene, yes.
the viewers, specifically Joseph. Probably we may need to explain further that initially we didn't have, the last financial years, we didn't have infrastructure levy on items which at 0% import duty in the CET. But this change has been effected with this financial year. And probably to throw more light, we should appreciate that the other countries in the ESC, they are already having, they are applying these rates, more especially the import declaration fees. For example, Kenya has it at 2.2% on the CIF. And I think Tanzania has it at 1.7% CIF. So basically, within the ESC, it's Uganda that hasn't been applying the import declaration fees. And for purposes of harmonization and being competitive in the region, that is why Uganda sought prudent to have the import declaration fees being payable by the declarants. However, we have exclusions on items, for example, under the 5th schedule, that is the exempted items, they don't pay import declaration fees. As well as plant and machinery, they also don't pay. And then those items which are under special operating framework being approved by the government of Uganda, all those items don't pay import declaration fees. And as well as where we have a transfer of goods. For example, you're having goods from Kenya and you're transferring them, for example, to DRC. So even those are also exempted from import declaration fees. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Scarlett.
maybe just to add on what Irene has said, just to add on what Irene has said, initially, infrastructure levy of 1.5% was only being imposed on goods whose import duty rate was more than 0%. But this financial year, all goods are going to be paying infrastructure levy of 1.5%, regardless of whether they are zero rated or the VAT is payable, as long as the import duty is more than 0%, infrastructure levy is going to be payable, minus the exclusions that she talked about of plant and machinery of 84 and chapter 84 and 85, and then the items mentioned in the 5th schedule, and then also the transfers. Other than that, whether VAT is zero rated or it's 18%, as long as the import duty rate is more than 0%, infrastructure levy of 1.5% is going on the CIF is going to be imposed starting this financial year. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Scarlett. That was well answered, I should say. But if I can add, for import declaration fees, that fee was introduced to help support and finance our digital systems. We have digital systems that we use in customs, like the Skoda World system, the scanners that we use, the single window systems that we use. We have the RECs where we have digital seals and all that. So this fee is supposed to support those systems, and the idea is to make sure that we reduce the cost, the time your goods are going to be under customs control, and also reduce your cost of doing business. So we believe that at the end of the day, we shall be able to be more efficient if our systems are good, and your cost of clearing through customs will go down, and that will enable you make more profit margins and stripe. So we have another question. Do new manufacturers benefit from exemptions or VAT deferment? And is PET now in digital emission? Okay, that's an interesting question. Scarlett?
The question is, do new manufacturers benefit from VAT? VAT and exemptions? Yes, definitely. As long as you are a manufacturer, you should be able to enjoy these facilities. Like we said, VAT deferment is for manufacturers who are bringing in plant and machinery. If you're bringing in your plant and machinery as a new manufacturer, and the cost, insurance, and price of that machinery is above the threshold of $22,300 US, you should be able to enjoy this facility. You can apply to the Office of the Assistant Commissioner Trade, attach all your importation documents, and you should be able to enjoy VAT deferment on your plant and machinery. Then also the exemptions, as long as they are within Section 114 of the 5th schedule of the East African Community Customs Management Act, the 5th schedule in particular, you should be able to enjoy these exemptions. Some of the exemptions we looked at for new manufacturers, there were actually quite a number, your industrial spares, and also the others, depending on which sector, rather which industry you're looking at. What are you manufacturing? Depending on what you're manufacturing, you should be able to enjoy these exemptions as long as you're a manufacturer and you can prove to us that you have that whole line of production and you're manufacturing, actually adding value.
Okay.
Maybe to add on, one of the requirements for you to be able to enjoy VAT deferment facility, the company or the manufacturer should be VAT registered. So that one is also provided for under the VAT Act 2013. So the company has to be registered for VAT in order to be able to enjoy the VAT deferment facility on specifically plant and machinery. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much, Irene. The second part of that question was asking about PET. Is PET under emission?
The PET, the granule?
That is polyethylene granules, yes. You know, there has been a step application from 0 to 10 this financial year.
Yes. So they are not under emission. There is a step from 0 to 10
Yes.
instead. They're not
Yeah.
under
So
determination.
they are not under determination. That is the answer for PET. There's another question. The new, okay, that was the old one. Okay, so thanks so much for your questions. It was a sign that you guys were paying attention. I want to thank my panelists as well. As the culture is here, we normally have a parting shot. So in a minute or less, if any of you can give us your parting shot in regard to the essence of these incentives to our business and our economy.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, moderator. Mine is just to encourage the manufacturers out there to come and actually enjoy these incentives. The government has put them in place for you to boost industrialization in the country. So kindly come and enjoy them. They're yours. Come and enjoy, apply. Duty remission, exemptions, just write a letter, apply to the Office of the Assistant Commissioner Trade. You can attach all your importation documents, and we should be able to facilitate you so that you can boost industrialization in this country. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Scarlett. Irene?
Thank you so much, moderator. To our viewers, we want to thank you that you have been able to tune in, and the questions have been relevant, and it is an indicator that at least a bigger percentage of people at least understand what we are talking about. And I believe most of you must have already enjoyed, or you're still enjoying. And we still call upon you to help us, and so that we are able to achieve the rational goal of national development and economic independence. We still call upon you to support us, to collect tax, basically to help us in our national development. We thank you for paying taxes, and we are available in case of any inquiries. We are available to facilitate, and we believe when we collaborate, we are able to solve out certain issues if they are there, and be able to move together. Once again, thank you for paying your taxes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Irene. To you Ugandans, please take advantage of this investment opportunity. Earlier on in the week, we had a meeting with traders in downtown, and these were importers of finished products. And it has become competitive. That was the argument. They can't do business no more. One of the ways you can make yourselves relevant and your business relevant is by making sure that you import raw materials for the products that you're importing right now, which are finished. Or you import unassembled items for the products that you're importing right now, which are finished. And you can get these incentives through the presentations we have talked about today. That will make your business more competitive because the cost of tax will go down. Thank you so much. Let's wish you guys a good day.